To do the video quiz, you're going to do a problem similar to the one I'm about to do right here to the right. So you're going to do that problem on Notability and send that to me. Same with problem number 2, 3, 4, and 5. So here's how we do these problems. To do multiplication, we're going to factor out every number, and the letters I'm not going to factor. So I'm going to leave that as 3C's. And 14 is 2 times 7, a squared, b. There's my numerator. And my denominator is 3 times 7, a, b. 2 times 2 times 2, c squared, d. Now, what I'm going to do is cancel out anything that's the same on top and bottom. So I have a 2 right here, so I cancel that 2. This 2, I cancel with this 2. This 3, I'm going to cancel with this 3. And I'm just going in order. I have 3 C's, I have 2 C's. So the 2 C's will cancel, and I'll be left with just 1. Then I have 2 D's and 1 D. So 1 D will cancel with this D. Then I have a 2 right here that cancels with this 2. This 7 that cancels with this 7. I have 2 A's, so that cancels with one of the A's. And then the B's cancel. So when I look at the numerator, what I have left over is a C, a D, and an A. Right here, the C, the D, and the A. And I have nothing in the denominator. So my answer ends up with CDA. So now it's your turn to do problem number 1. So I'm going to move into the next example. Division is the same thing as multiplication. I'm going to change my 16 to 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, m t squared. And now the difference is I have to flip these. So this becomes 7a squared b squared. So there's my numerator. My denominator, I have 3 times 7, that's how you break 21. A to the 4th, b cubed. But now the 24 is on the bottom. So that's 2 times 2 times 2 times 3, m cubed. So now I'm going to go through and cancel out what's the same. So I have a 2 here, cancels with this 2. This 2 cancels with this 2. This 2 cancels with this 2. There's no more 2, so that stays. But I have an m that cancels with one of these, so this now becomes m squared. T squared cancels with nothing. 7 cancels. A squared, both of them cancel, so I have a squared down here. And b squared cancels, which leaves me just a b. So in my numerator, I now have a 2t squared, 2t squared, over, what's left over is 3 times 3, that's these 3's, and I have an a squared b, and an m squared. And so my answer then, that's the only thing different between this problem and the problem above, is to flip things. So now it's your turn to do number 2. Alright, to do multiplication, we have to factor everything. So I'm looking for 2 numbers. They go into 20. Multiply 20, give me 9. So x plus 4, x plus 5. Then I'm going to take out the greatest common factor of this problem. And then I do my denominator, take out the greatest common factor. And this one's the difference of squares. Notice how I put the problems together. Multiplication just means factoring it. Now the problem is this one right here can still be factored. So that should become x plus 2, x plus 2. So this is factored. Now I'm just looking to cross out factors. So I have an x plus 2 that goes with x plus 2. X plus 5, the factors are canceled with x plus 5. So I have a 4 that goes into this 8 2 times. So what's left over is I have an x plus 4 and an x plus 2. So x plus 4 and x plus 2. Doesn't look very good. Let me do that again. X plus 4 x plus 2 over, we have a 2 and an x minus 5. 2x minus 5. And so there is my answer to this problem. I'll do number 3 on the quiz the same way. Now we're going to do these division. The difference is division means to flip. So I'm going to factor c minus 8 and c plus 2 gives me 16 and negative 6. And the c plus d now becomes on top. Notice how I just get rid of the multiplication sign and put them all together. And now I'm going to do the same thing. This right here is factored as a difference of squares, which is c plus d, c minus d. And this right here is a greatest common factor, c minus 8. Now, I'm going to cancel out what's alike on top and bottom. C minus 8 cancels. C plus D canceled. And I'm left with a C plus 2 on top and a C minus D with a C on the bottom. So there's my answer to this problem. Now you do number 4 the same way, where you take the division and change that to multiplication and flip this. Factor everything. Okay, to do subtraction, you must have a common denominator. So you have to factor your denominator. So that's an x minus 3 and an x plus 2. And this factors to 5, because it's common factor out x plus 2. So we have this denominator and this denominator. And so our common denominator is going to be everything that's included. So I have a 5, I have an x minus 3, I have an x plus 2. And that includes everything. So now all we're going to do is we're going to multiply the numerator, x minus 1, times what's missing from its denominator. Well, what's missing from the common denominator is a 5 only. So I will get 5x minus 5. And then the other numerator, 4, is missing an x minus 3. So I'm going to multiply it. So basically we're multiplying the numerators by what's missing from the denominator. And so I get 4x minus 12. And I'm going to subtract this. Well, subtraction means changing the sign. So this becomes plus a negative 4, and this becomes a positive 12. And so when I add, I get x, and I get 7, and that is over our common denominator, which is 5x minus 3 and x plus 2. So my answer is this. So what I've done is I found a common denominator. This is the common denominator. And I found that by taking the two denominators. Here's the first denominator, here's the second denominator, and I just put together everything, every part. I had a 5, I have an x plus 2, so I don't need to use this one, and then I have an x minus 3, and that's where I get the common denominator. Now I change the numerators by multiplying by what's missing from each part. So x minus 1 was missing a 5, so I multiplied it. And my 4 was missing an x minus 3, so I multiplied it. By multiplying it, I then subtracted to get my x plus 7. Now that I've completed all 5 problems and shown examples, what I want you to do is put those 5 problems onto Notability, use your video to help you do the problems, and then submit that into Video Quiz.